Alright, hello and welcome. My name is Unctious, and I'm going to be casting for you a sweet TVZ here between two fantastic players. I'm going to go ahead and introduce them. The map is Cloud Kingdom, and here we go. Spawning as the Red Terran in the southwest spawning position. From Team Evil Geniuses, it is none other than Thorzane. And his opponent spawning in the northeast spawning position. A fantastic European Zerg player, it is Slivko. Now, Slivko doesn't really have any huge major championships, but that shouldn't fool you. Don't let that fool you. He is an incredible Zerg player that I love watching. He's got a really cool style. Very fun to see. And his opponent, of course, a player that everyone seems to be a little bit more familiar with. I mean, he used to be on Mouse Sports. He switched teams a little bit, switched around. He's got some great wins under his belt. I mean, I had the opportunity to cast this guy in WCS Sweden in the Nationals, and man, he had such a sweet showing. He is such a strong player. It's the Spoon Terran himself. I mean, what's so incredible about Thorzane in particular is his ability to have switched playstyles so much. Ooh, look at this. Sending some units across the map. We got a couple of SCVs going down here. So hold that thought, what I was talking about. It looks like it is going to be 2 racks coming down pretty much immediately, but this is going to get scouted right away. Slivko sending an Overlord right there immediately, sees it, turns around, he knows exactly what's coming his way as the second barracks does go down, so he's going to be put on the defensive immediately. He's got to take a look out, make sure there's no bunkers going down, he's got to stop bunkers from happening if he can, and he should be expanding anyway. This is going to be beautiful. If that expansion comes up, he's going to have creep down here to defend if he can get a spine crawler up and running, and we should see a spawning pool from him any moment now. Alright, so no, it looks like it is going to be a cancel, so that's pretty much as good as it gets. Sent out a couple of drones right there, put a little bit of damage on those SCVs, and now Thorzane's going to have to transition out of this. And, I mean, that's a great position for Slivko to be in. That's a huge economic investment early on. You know, he had to delay this this command center, he had to cut SCVs, he lost a little bit of mining time on these guys, and of course the lost minerals on those on the barracks from the cancel. But anyway, as I was saying here, Thorzane, of course, switching styles so readily. He used to be known as the Spoon Terran, a very incredible player. Just, you know, always play. He would play mech styles, he would play bio and tank, and he would just slowly progress towards his opponent, really tightening the noose on his opponent little by little. So he became known as the Spoon Terran. But, you know, he mentioned in one of his interviews at some point that that's not necessarily a style that he really enjoys playing exclusively. He feels like he's just always afraid to really move out and do anything a little bit risky, so he plays as safe as possible. But once he said that, all of a sudden we saw him start training to be a lot more aggressive, you know, like we just saw. 2 racks coming out from him. I mean, he's completely changed up his style, and now he can do pretty much anything. He can macro up, he can be a little bit cheesier, he can go ahead and just stay defensive, he can turtle up. The guy has so many options that you never really know what's coming out when you watch a Thorzane game, so very cool to see. But let's go ahead and take a little bit of stock in this game and find out exactly where we've ended up. We see Slivko is grabbing that first extractor. He's got a spawning pool down here. It's a later gas. He might even consider expanding. But he's got that natural hatchery down, been droning up a little bit here, and grabbing those 2 queens. And we should just continue droning up for a little while here. Thorzane, on the other hand, grabbing 3 barracks, and will he be grabbing gas? That's going to be the question that we need to look out for here. Now, something that's been come into light more in pretty much all the Terran matchups is grabbing a very quick 3rd command center inside of your base. You can delay the gas a little bit here, grab a 3rd command center just over in your main base, deny that scouting, have a couple of barracks out on the field just to be able to get some Marines out, put on a little bit of aggression, or you can turtle up with it, and you can go ahead and get those mules and SCV production off of 3 bases, off those 3 orbital commands, and then once you clear out your opponent's map control, or once you're feeling a little bit safer, you can go ahead and float that 3rd command center down onto that down to your 3rd base, which is really nice to see on this map. Now, it's interesting that we see 3 barracks going down here. We don't see any factories quite yet. Still no gas is going down for Thorzane. It looks like he will push out and put on a little bit of pressure here, but not too much. Just taking map control. He doesn't really have to do an incredible amount of damage with this little push. I mean, he's just kind of checking around the map. Keeping his opponent honest is really what his goal is here. So we do see that 3rd command center coming down from Thorzane. It is going to be his way of getting back into here economically. He lost a little bit early on in the game. We see his opponent taking his units off of gas here. just has one unit on that extractor. He's got his speed on the way, and he's going to go ahead and try to grab that third base. But this aggression from Thorazane is going to force a cancel here, and that's really everything that's what Thorazane needed to try to even things out for him. So he's feeling pretty good right now, and the game is just going to continue on, pretty much stabilized for both players. Marine comes forward, he's going to get taken out by those queens. That is tragic to be sent forward. He's like, you know what, I'm going on this Rambo mission. I got this on lock, guys. And then 3 queens just immediately. This is just terrifying with their little tentacle hair. Pretty much as terrifying as it gets. But Slivko is going to try to retake this expansion, and he's going to get canceled once again. Cancel does go down just in time, and the drone does get taken out. Thorazane with a soft container on his opponent, making sure that he can't take that third base as he continues to take that third command center of his own. Now, he's not going to have to float that down for a while now, and in the meantime, he should just be trying to tech up, making sure that he grabs those gases. He's got quite a few barracks coming down here. It looks like it's just going to be one more barracks, and a couple engineering bays, and he will go ahead and send his Marines home with all of them feeling a little bit more successful. Their days are feeling a little bit nicer here. You can see a little smirks on their faces, I'm sure. Mission accomplished. Not too many people died. But Slivko going to put on that counter-aggression. He's got quite a few lings out, just going to try to get into his opponent's base, make sure that his opponent can't take a third, and take back that map control, which is going to be really essential if he intends to take a third base of his own. Meanwhile, we don't see any additional gases going down, just those initial 2. And that's going to be it for Slivko as of yet. He's got that hatchery, he's got layer on the way, which is going to be really nice, just about to finish up. He's got the lings out on the field for map control and to ensure that his opponent won't be expanding too aggressively, and he's got the double Evo chamber down as well. 1-1 on the way now that those Evo chambers are down, and I like this little bit of SimCity here. And we should be seeing, I imagine, an infestation pit coming down in just a matter of moments. Third and fourth gas is coming out as well, and he's going to go ahead and grab a macro hatch and that third base. So Slivko's feeling a little bit more comfortable here, and we should be seeing Thorazane move up towards that starport, get those medevacs out on the field, as he's not doing anything terribly crazy. He's not going for like some huge switch into mech or anything like that, just unnecessary at this point. He's feeling pretty good. Getting his army together, going to grab 1-1. Actually, he just has, he's grabbing 1-1, combat shield, and stim. So all those essential upgrades that a Terran player needs before he feels comfortable moving out onto the map. Now, surprisingly, he's not waiting for his starport to come out. That should be switched over to a reactor just momentarily. But meanwhile, huge ling run by going down here. The barracks did not float back down before the lings get into the base, and this is going to force Thorazane to move all the way back home. And these lings will go ahead and get a full scout here and run straight into that mineral line. Lost mining time. SCV's going down, and Thorazane is going to lose quite a bit here as these lings are able to go ahead and wreak havoc on the inside of his main. Now, they're not doing as much damage as Slivko would like here, and that's going to be a little bit unfortunate for him, but he is going ahead, grabbing a couple of those SCVs, and this will get cleaned up. Some hold position going down for both players. Just a nice little bit of micro here. So 9 workers were killed by Slivko, and that's going to be a really nice amount. And it looks like we still have a couple of lings moving in here, so there are still lings alive, but they're not going to be able to do too much more damage. And he can actually try to keep 1 or 2 of these guys alive for a little while longer, just to try to get a good enough scout. But, I mean, he sees everything that he needs to, and he says, you know what, I know exactly what my opponent's doing. He's got that third command center down. He's going to have to float that down at some point. He doesn't have that many barracks right now, and he's on double engineering bay, so I can hit I can hit my opponent when our upgrades are even, and I should be able to continue denying this third base, or at least put on some serious aggression. We have quite a few banelings on the field right now. Centrifugal hooks on the way to give those banelings that extra little speed boost, and meanwhile, he was able to go ahead and get his infestation pit down and pathogen glands as well. So, I mean, he's got those high-energy infestors out on the field. He's got lings, he's got banelings, and these infestors are going to make it very, very difficult for Thorazane to continue moving out without too many medevacs. We do have a couple of tanks, but that means that there's going to be a big counterattack from Slivko down here over at the third, denying it once again, making sure that his opponent can't really take that and keep him on that two-base economy. Banelings moving forward, tanks unable to siege up. Neither of them are able to siege up whatsoever, and the banelings are just going to continue forward, trying to get us around. He does get a nice baneling detonation there, taking out most of these units, and with some decent kiting, he was able to get Thorazane was able to get at least a little bit more out of those units, but not too much. And I love this from Slivko, keeping a small group of lings out on the field at all times, making sure that if his opponent moves out, he will be able to continue on forward and just go ahead with that counterattack, and in the meanwhile, take back those Unlaga watchtowers as well. So Thorazane, without siege tech here, that was a little bit of a botched attack from him. He sent out a ton of Marines and a ton of siege tanks. In fact, I'm interested in seeing what the unit's loss tab looks like. It's looking a little bit behind for Thorazane here, but Slivko can actually afford that because he did have those 3 bases up a little bit earlier. He's got his 4th base on the way, and he's looking all right on upgrades. So Slivko, altogether, looking pretty good for himself. The Roach Warren has come down as well just to round out his army, so in the mid-game, if he needs to get some roaches down, he can do just that. And we do see Hive on the way for him as well, with that Greater Spire coming down. So he will be moving towards that Broodlord tech, which is going to be very, very essential towards that late-game composition. He knows that he's ahead, he just needs to play safe, make sure he continues getting his upgrades, make sure he continues teching up, and he doesn't have too much to worry about. Now, it's on Thorzane to figure out how to come back into this game. He does have 2 command centers on the way. He's going to be able to make those into orbitals, and he can float them out if he so chooses, but he needs to find some aggressive way to come back into this, and that then drop play might be the way to do exactly that. Now, the problem here is that his opponent is all over the map. Thorzane has no map control whatsoever here, and, in fact, that's exactly what we see happening. Slivko, of course, spotting this medevac moving out, he's going to be able to respond to that so quickly. I mean, Thorzane doesn't have any map control, and you need that if you're going for that extra bit of drop play. Clear out an area for those medevacs to actually go through, and we do see Slivko, of course, responding to this very, very quickly. He's got a bunch of spore crawlers and spine crawlers going down, Lings at the ready as another drop goes by that left side, which wasn't spotted so easily, but the army's already there in that forward position, so not too much is going to die here. In fact, all these units are going to be able to come up, surround these. Failed. A little bit of a whiffed fungal, though he did grab that medevac, though I think he was going for a couple of those bio units. But no, the medevac doesn't get away. Looks like these units will pretty much all get killed rather swiftly. Slivko looking pretty good here. In fact, he's got a small group of Lings and Banelings down here to deny his opponent's 4th base, which he should be able to do rather easily, and maybe he'll just wait for a couple of units to come down here, or SCVs to come down here and kill those off too. Would be a nice little pickoff for him. Greater Spire on the way. We do see Corruptors on the way as well, so Broodlords are going to be the option for him as Thorzane tries to move out onto the map. He is on 2-2 as it stands. He's got +3 armor on the way as well. It's going to be a nice little upgrade for him. Meanwhile, his opponent, let's go ahead and check out what his upgrades are at. And we do see 2-1. So, I mean, Thorzane is going to have that upgrade advantage, and that's going to mean that those Lings are going to get torn apart very, very quickly and very easily. But there's only +1 weapons on those tanks, and those are going to be the huge damage dealers. Meanwhile, Thorzane moves out onto the map a little bit. I mean, his production tab is ridiculous right now, multitasking off the wall, keeping up with all of his upgrades, all of his production facilities, and continuing to make command centers as well, trying to put himself into a position where he can actually just sack his SCVs and go ahead and rely on mule production. So Slivko trying to move out onto the map a little bit. He did get thwarted rather easily, so now he can take it upon himself to take this 5th base over on the top left, and I wouldn't even be surprised if he tried to take this base as well. I mean, there's no reason not to at this point. His opponent can't put on too much aggression. He's in a position where he knows that his opponent has to take this 4th, and he's not really going to be able to do too much. So we have a couple of these units moving forward, and the Lings and Banelings will get taken out. Not too much really matters here. And Slivko's pretty much maxed out at this point, and this is where it starts getting a little bit scarier for Thorzane. As Slivko is, good Baneling hit there, taking out quite a few of those units. But this is the part where things get scary for a little bit scarier for Thorzane. If Slivko is maxed out and not really putting on too much aggression, look at him, expanding absolutely everywhere. He has map control, he's got the units, he's maxed out, and what I had intended to say here, what's scary about all this, is that if Slivko's maxed out, he's going to start banking up some extra minerals. He's going to be able to remax so quickly. In fact, he's still droning up. How many drones does he actually have at this point? He's up at 89, and that's a little bit over where a Zerg player wants to be, but I mean, that's totally fine. It's only a couple more supply than you need, but it's nice to have them, and now he can start making those spine crawlers, get that spine crawler wall out as the Broodlords do push across the map here. Now, this is an incredibly scary army for Thorzane to even have to try to think of dealing with. I mean, he's got some great upgrades, he's got some great tank positioning over here at his 4th base, excuse me. And he's still got some command centers on the way, but, I mean, where are his Marines and his Marauders? He's got a ton of Marines out on the field. How many Vikings does he have? I think that's something that I want to go ahead and take a look at here. At this point, he's got 9 Vikings on the field, so that's really what we need to watch out for. If some good fungals go down on those Vikings, they're not going to be able to get those essential hits out on those Broodlords and take them down early enough. Meanwhile, we do have these Lings coming down, denying this bottom right-hand base from Thorzane. We do have a little bit of a medevac finding out, hey, wait a minute, you're taking my expansions over here on the left side of the base, but those will get cleaned up rather quickly, and that base will not fall quite yet. Now, Thorzane has to try to figure out, do I want to go ahead and push towards this left side and take that out, or do I just want to try to maintain my own bases and try to take my own bases, as opposed to keeping my opponent from taking his? I mean, he's got to be able to do a little bit of both here, and it looks like he's just going to go ahead and take that bottom right-hand base for himself, and that's going to be a little bit of a better position for him. There we go, moving forward, going to be able to take out this forward base, and there's nothing to deal with it. In fact, the Lings are all over the place, and this hatchery will pop rather quickly. Now, is Thorazane going to continue on moving forward, or is he going to pick up and get out of there feeling like he's done his job with this little group of units, just maintaining his opponent's base count here and there? Scan does go down. Slivko knows that his opponent sees this Broodlord positioning, and is that going to scare him off at all, or is he just going to continue trying to maintain this base? I mean, I'd love to see Thorazane trying to pick his opponent apart with drop play, but Slivko has made it so difficult for that to happen here. Slivko is looking so dominant as far as map control is concerned, as far as base control is concerned. I mean, he is looking so nice here. All right, so a lot of Broodlords out on the field right now. We do have +3 ground carapace out as well. We have a huge number of Vikings. We have a Raven in the mix as well. So I mean, Thorazane needs to move out onto the map. He needs to try to make himself known, clear out a little bit of creep spread, and that's what we see him doing here. Moving out onto the map just to make sure that his opponent can't have that map control forever. But meanwhile, a lot of Lings and Banelings coming in here. Will they be able to get any big hits? And it looks like one big hit does go down, and the rest of those units will get taken out. But 3 medevacs full is worth it. He was able to take out that base at not too big of a cost, and he will pretty much immediately drop down once again. Now, I mean, he's not going to continue. He's not even, I don't even think he knows about this particular base up in the upper left. No, he does have an idea of that base up in the upper left-hand corner. So he knows how many bases his opponent's on. And interestingly, Slivko not really doing much to put on too much aggression on to his opponent. He's playing the much more defensive style, letting his opponent just starve himself out. I mean, if he can go ahead and take out these bases, he's going to be in a lot better of a position and feel a lot more comfortable here. He's been maxed out for quite a while, but what he's done is given his opponent the opportunity. Ooh, the Planetary Fortress falls. There's a lot of Banelings there, and it looks like some decent hits going down on these Marines as well. So, like I was saying, I mean, Slivko only attacking just to make sure that his opponent isn't taking new bases. This is him. He's not attacking with his main army quite yet, just those little counterattacks, those little run-bys, and that's what's keeping him in this right now. I mean, keeping him ahead anyway. So finally, we have some Broodlords sieging down onto this low ground. He needs to be careful of those Vikings, because those can deal quite a bit of damage. He needs to make sure those Infestors are there to support those Broodlords, just to make sure that those Vikings can't get in too close. And those Corruptors need to be in between the Broodlords and the Vikings, if possible. Slivko, gonna be just sharking around a little bit. Now he's gonna start kind of bringing the noose down on his opponent. This is kind of the spoon Zerg here in some sense, giving Thorazane a taste of his own medicine. But meanwhile, Thorazane going in with a big counterattack, trying to make this worthwhile, taking out those upgrades, taking out a couple of those creep tumors, and he's going to continue forward. But I'm not sure if it's going to be enough. Thorazane down at 173 supply. The natural is going to be taken out rather quickly. Broodlords bearing down on this base. Production facilities going down. Tech labs going down, and it looks like Thorazane's going to continue on forward. But Slivko now supply blocked. This is a bad situation for him to be in, because as long as he's supply blocked, oh, Ghost coming forward here, trying to get some snipes down as well, but as long as he's supply blocked, he can't really reinforce down in his main, and huge explosions going down, taking out a ton of those Broodlords, and that's going to be looking so good for Thorazane. Now his opponent down to 136 supply. He's able to take out this entire Broodlord army. The Ravens are so strong against these Broodlords, and now these Infestors out of energy aren't going to be able to do anything. Slivko has to find some way to remax. He's got 34 Lings on the way, but will it be enough? 13 Corruptors as well, but it's going to be a long time before he can even consider remaking those Broodlords. I mean, somehow Thorazane has found a way to stabilize, take the supply lead, landing those Vikings to use them as ground units, and meanwhile his little bio army will continue on forward, dealing the extra little bit of damage, forcing his opponent to make these units, and Slivko GG's! Thorazane, with an incredible Raven play, makes his way back into this, takes the game off of his opponent with those huge Hunter-Seeker missiles going down. I mean, that is exactly what he needed to come back into it. Slivko was ahead for so long, but he waited just much too long, allowed Thorazane to come back into it, allowed the Ghosts to come out, allowed the Ravens to come out, and he had just no answer for all of those Hunter-Seeker missiles. So incredible play by both players, but Thorazane edging out ahead in a very, very convincing battle and going in with that counterattack, despite the fact that his opponent had the massive economy. Just very, very cool to see. So check me out next time. My name is Unctious once again. I hope you enjoyed the cast. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.